Kenya's household is produced by small-scale, farmers. Those are the people that are feeding this country. And the question is, have they been given an enabling environment to be able to maximize productivity, and not only productivity in terms of quantity, but also in terms of quality, which is critical because that touches on nutrition. Right now, I'm joined by, at the far end, we have Clement Musioka, who is the project manager at Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition Gain. And at the center, we have Abigail Gashigi, who is the operations director and also co-founder of Keep It Cool. Ladies, gentlemen, welcome to Business Today. When you talk about food and production of food, especially when we bring in food security discussion, we envision these large tracts of land, with maize plantations. Rarely do we think about, my kitchen garden. That shouldn't be our thought process, Clement. You're telling me that food is majorly produced by small-scale traders?
Yeah, when we think about food, and just want to move the discussion from just food security, but think about food system transformation. When you look at the food system, we're looking at different actors in this in the system. One, we have smallholder farmers who act as producers for these foods. We have SMEs who provide inputs for this food. We have SMEs involved in the supply chain to ensure this food is delivered to processors. We have processors who process this food for consumption and deliver it to the markets. So, and just looking at that, that's just a simple value chain. If you look at the larger space, we have the enabling environment. We have people who work in technology who ensure we have access to traceability to be able to tell if our food is safe. We have the government that sets up the structures for enabling, providing an enabling environment for smallholder farmers, SMEs to actually thrive.
Definitely. Yeah. So on the value chain, there are so many opportunities, Abigail. And in fact, at Keep It Cool, as cool, I see you're very cool in this interview, as the company purports. You identified a niche, that has been there. Maybe briefly just start on that, and how did you guys get to move into that niche?
So our aim as a company is to increase efficiency by minimizing post-harvest losses in the fish value chain. This was at 40%, and since we started the company, we've been able to offtake over 400 metric tons of fish, reducing post-harvest losses from 40% to 0.6%.
Okay. Majorly, when you talk about post-harvest losses, because it's a bigger discussion even not only in the agricultural scene, in the fish value chain, specifically for fish, what exactly are we losing? What are the heavily hit elements on the fish value chain that we are losing so much?
For one of the things is, and that this is part of our mission and vision, is that we envision to provide cold chain solutions to these fisher folks. And one of the main challenges they face is in storage and market access. And this is where we come in. So we provide them with the right market linkages and through offtake, and also cold storage solutions through shared model transportation and freezers that use solar power. So this is one of the ways we've done capacity building to enable the fishermen and the fisher folks to cope with the effects of post-harvest losses.
All right. Clement, that is a huge problem in the agricultural ecosystem, especially touching on MSMEs, the issue of post-harvest losses.
Yeah, post-harvest loss is one of the biggest challenges we actually have as we work on the food system. Looking at some of the value chain, for example, if you look at vegetable value chain, we lose around 60 to 50% of what is produced. Looking at animal source proteins, that's dairy, fish, we have the same limits. And in as much as you're trying to push for increased production, you find what normally comes to the market is actually way less. And this has an implication, one, on the food availability in the market, two, on the income that goes to the smallholder farmers. So trying to find solutions to address this challenge is one of the core work that actually GAIN does. GAIN, the Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition, has been working on post-harvest loss management over the past, I think, 1 year. We've done some trainings to SMEs so that they can be able to improve their processes and even provide support in terms of cold storage and also packaging and handling after production.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And that support system, because sometimes, Abigail, you're doing business, you're running your small kiosk, you've started an enterprise, and you're doing the best you can. But that support, especially in training to sort of how to handle your business and seal some of these loopholes, how handy and how transformative is it not only for you as a business who's trying to bring efficiency in the value chain, but also for the co-producers who are these fishermen?
So we've been working closely with GAIN in the Keeping Food Markets Working program. We are a part of that, and I feel the reason why they saw that in us is because we have a very innovative business model around issues pertaining to post-harvest losses, and they've provided us with instrumental support in the areas of quality assurance and quality control. They've provided us with microbial analysis equipment, packaging equipment, and what I like about the support that we've been receiving from GAIN is that it comes along with the training, the capacity building element of it, and so we are fully equipped. They also came in at a time. They actually saved us during the COVID-19 pandemic. They were one of the alliances that came in to support us with funding and also in-kind support that enabled us to continue with our operations even during the pandemic.
All right.
So in that way, we were still able to provide the BOP markets with fish offcuts and omena, and also offtake from the fishermen and the fisher folks.
Okay.
Yes.
GAIN, being told you guys are lifesavers, which is very important because I'm thinking not only the quantity side of it, but also the quality side of it.
Yeah.
Because nutrition is a huge element of food security discussion.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, we focus on the quantity. Do we have enough even before we question whether it's zinc or magnesium and at what grams? Is that also a focus when we are doing these interventions to make sure that we're producing quality products for Kenyans?
Looking at even the SME ecosystem that we have in Kenya, we have new products, new innovations coming to the market every day. But we realize one of the biggest gaps that these SMEs have is the technical know-how. Let's say, for example, you want to do peanut butter processing. You know the process, you know how to get the equipment, but you don't know how to test for the quality of that peanut butter. And you find most of the SMEs, even the products in the market, are not KEBS certified because these SMEs have not undergone through training. They don't know where to access the training to be able to improve their product offerings. So part of the work that GAIN does is come in and provide that technical assistance. One, for an SME to thrive, you need to have a good structure in place. So it provides support on business development. Two, now we come in to provide support on nutrition enhancement and business efficiency. How can you make your product stable with support in product development, quality assurance, quality control, and working with experts who are able to even go beyond and support in design and even your distribution plan as a business.
Okay.
The area around the quality, I think that is the biggest challenge we have. We have businesses that are in milling, but don't know how to test for aflatoxin. They know it's there, but they don't know how to test for it. Two, you find they want to test for it, but they don't know where they can access the laboratories to do that. For example, she's mentioned about microbial analysis. Without that, if you don't undergo that process, the product you bring to the market is not safe. And we normally say food is not nutritious if it's not safe. So one of the core areas that we ensure is the food that comes into the market is of high value, it's safe for human consumption, and is accessible for most of the bottom of the pyramid market.
Definitely. And I can imagine, Abigail, not because even GAIN as an organization, you're kind of limited. You can't reach each and every business. How can we make some of these practices sort of a mainstay, a norm thing for businesses to be able to access some of these facilities and also policy environments so that we can see MSMEs thriving in the food ecosystem? Are there changes that we need to make, and what will those changes be?
Yes, there are changes that need to be done, and first of all, I think it's a mentality thing, because I feel that agriculture value chain is still is still taken as an informal kind of sector. So once that changes, then it's easy for once this happens,
Yeah, it's okay, no problem, because you're talking about changes that needs to be introduced, and because most of the times we look at policies, for example, MSMEs, the majority of them, if you're running a kiosk, I don't know, or a hotel, for example, you need almost a million, permits. I don't know, one from the county governments, from the food authority. So for you running a business in this value chain, do you think some things needs to be handled to make it easier for businesses to thrive on a value chain?
Yeah, so as I was saying, because the agriculture value chain is viewed as informal, so you find that it's seen as not a high growth business. So because it's not a high growth business and has little returns, so many investors and even youth kind of shun away from it. So there's that element. And then also in terms of policies, one of them is devolution, good and bad things. So in terms of devolution, what you just touched on, so as an enterprise, when we're looking to scale into other counties, for example, you find that we have to get different sort of permits and licenses, branding, and it makes our business very hard, because sometimes you end up having so many licenses, yet you're not physically based in those counties. So these are some of the challenges that we face, and I feel that we need some change in that regard.
Definitely. I would imagine this will be one of the key areas of interventions that majority of these micro and small businesses especially need policy interventions. Is that an area that you look at?
Yeah, so for GAIN, even the work that you do with SMEs, I like to look at the challenges in three ways. One, we have the challenge of access to finance. Most of the SMEs in the agri sector, they are deemed very high risk by financial mechanisms. Two, they lack collateral, so they cannot access finance. Three, it's the element of technical know-how. They lack technical know-how on how to run a proper business, what to check out in terms of your product. And then three, it's the policy now, the rules and regulation space. One, they lack a platform where they can come together and raise issues around policy constraints that they face. One of the platforms that GAIN normally uses is the Sun Business Network, which is a network for SMEs working nutritious foods, where they are brought together and they are able to advocate for policy from one voice. The other challenge under the enabling environment is what Abigail has mentioned. To start a business in Kenya, just think of a food business, you require 5 to 6 certificates. Most of these SMEs, some are quite informal. They lack, most of the SMEs that start their business actually use family capital. One of the reasons why they don't register is because they think about the cost that involves to do business. And as government, I think for us to ensure sustainability, we should not just look on the revenue that comes in terms of taxes, but the role that these SMEs play in the economy at large. One, these SMEs will ensure access to safe and nutritious foods.
Yes.
Two, they'll create jobs across the value chain. The revenues that come from that, and even the contribution to the GDP, can have a larger impact than just the small revenues that we generate from licenses.
Right.
So streamlining the process of starting a business, I think, is one of the key areas we need to focus on.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And as we finish up briefly, Abigail, you know the famous Kenyan quote,
Yes.
that kwa ground vitu wanga different. sometimes we are given this picture of MSMEs and running an MSME in the food value chain.
Yes.
From where you sit and with the experience that you've garnered so far, where do you think are we going in the next few years, even in the context of this issue of food security? Will such organizations as US be a critical player in this?
Yes, I feel that we play a critical role, even more right now. And this is something that needs to really be focused on, because a lot of youth are out there jobless, yet there are so many gaps here in for example, what I'd mentioned in agriculture, the way it's viewed. So this also needs to change. And I feel that the likes of GAIN investors need to come in,
yes,
and sort of fund more upcoming businesses like ourselves.
All right. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I know, Abigail, they say keep it cool. That's the name of your business. You guys are super cool, by the way, and we really do appreciate that. Briefly, Clement, as we finish up, some of these interventions, we still experience drought and whatnot, and fresh shortages of some sort. So talk to me about the impact that you're foreseeing these interventions having in Kenya's discussion of food security.
I think the work that GAIN does, and I like to go back to food system transformation. I feel looking at the food system, one, if you are able to support these SMEs, these small vendors, even the mama mbogas, one, you can be able, by provision of technical assistance, that's a know-how, you can be able to empower them to have more sustainable businesses. If you look at Kenya spectrum, between 1 and 3 years, most businesses shut down, because there's that lack of management skills that exists. Two, there's lack of access to finance. How can we approach governments, even credit offerings such as banks, to provide support, and not just look at support in terms of the SME going to the bank, but also the bank going down to the SME, preparing the SME maybe over 6 months, so that these SMEs can be eligible for support and reducing the element of de-risking. And then also building an environment where these SMEs can convene, receive mentorship, learn from people who've been there for the longest, and also raise and convene around policy issues to see how they can reduce the constraints that they face as SMEs. If you're able to do that, I'm sure you can be able to have a thriving SME environment.
Definitely. Wow, thank you very much. Abigail Gashi, looking forward to chatting with you more. Today you haven't spoken so much, but you guys are doing amazing things in the fish value chain.
Thank you.
And those are the stories that we like to tell. And also Clement Musioka, Project Manager at GAIN, Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition. Thank you for those interventions, man. All right, so that's the discussion on MSMEs in food and transformation of food systems. We take a short break. When we come back, we'll be going down to South Africa and coming back to Kenya on matters tech interventions and closing